So, I got a new guitar for my birthday at the weekend there. I was 30, and my wife got me this lovely EVH Striped Series Frankenstrat. So, let's do some Van Halen. Let's see how this goes. Alright, so, EVH Frankenstrat Striped Series. Can't go too far wrong. Let's have a look at Ain't Talkin Bout Love from Van Halen 1 back in 1978. Of all the Van Halen songs, it's probably, I'm not going to say it's the most straightforward, but it certainly is more straightforward and more achievable for the intermediate guitarist than some of the other stuff off Van Halen 1. So, you start off with this A minor shape, basically. And it just sort of uses an A minor shape. Where you flatten then you sort of flatten your first finger, and then you sort of make a G. And it's quite doable. So, start off with the A minor shape. We're going to start off on the low A string, the only A string, with the open A string, I should say. So we pick A, G, B, G. I'm referring to the strings now, not the notes. This is now where we come to flattening our first finger, because we do. So I'll go through that again. Open E, first fret on E, first fret on B, open G. Let's go through that again. So you flatten your first finger to cover the first fret on both the E, the high E, and the B strings. And you do, like I said, you do E, B, G. Now what I like to do is, as if I was doing a G chord, bring my pinky onto the third fret of the high E string, and my third finger onto the third fret of the B string. And you do the high E, the B. Now, an awful lot of people actually make the mistake in that they do the same sequence as the last as we were on the last fret. So the sequence on the last fret was, or on the first fret, was E, B, G. A lot of people do the same sequence, but it's actually not. It is the low G that the song goes to, that Eddie goes for. So, and you reach up here to the low G. Now it's the same note, all being a different register. It's just an octave higher, but makes all the difference. So after doing that low G, you just third fret on the A, second fret on the A, and then hammer on to the third fret again. So that's all there is to it. Yeah, that's all there is to it, and there's me making a mistake. Now there is like sort of like, I don't know, myths about this song. I suppose they're not myths. It's just sort of like little bits of trivia, I suppose you could call them, in that Eddie actually made a mistake in the playing of this song himself. And it's either, I think it's the second time he plays the riff, he's meant to go but the second time he does, and I think he hits that note twice instead of going back down to the B string. In fact, it could be even, he makes a mistake in there, so it just makes it that little bit more obtainable, knowing that even Eddie Van Halen himself made some mistakes. So that's it. That's really all there is to it, to the opening of Ain't Talkin Bout Love. It's actually not that difficult to song. Like I said at the start, it's quite an achievable song for the intermediate guitarist, because the solo in it is quite straightforward. The verse is just a variation of what you've already just played in the intro, and there's a couple of harmonics, there's a couple of things in there that like Eddie does amazingly, of course. And obviously the live version then on Live Right Here Right Now is a bit more complicated. But all in all, as far as getting into Van Halen, this is a really, really good song to get into. As always, lads, like and subscribe for more of the same content.